I need to talk to you guys about the OneFootball app. See, the OneFootball app is the best football app there is out there, and I use it for a load of different reasons. It's great for transfer rumours, team news and starting 11s, which is actually really useful when I'm making these tactical videos. On top of that, you can now watch game highlights and even live matches, all on the OneFootball app. And believe it or not, it actually gets even better than that, because now you can do it all for free if you use the link in the description down below. So make sure to get in the description, press the link and download the OneFootball app right away. Trust me, you guys will not regret downloading this app. It really is great. Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where today we are talking about transfer deadline day. Now, I'm literally recording this on Thursday morning, the day transfer deadline closes at 11 PM tonight here in England. So I thought today I would go through all 20 teams in the Premier League in order of league position just for a change, and talk about one player that they should bring in today to really help their season. And let's just get started. So the first team, whether it's alphabetical or on league position, is of course Arsenal. And a player that I've been talking about they should sign all summer long is Youri Tielemans, and that hasn't changed. In my opinion, this would still be a really good signing for Arsenal. Now, in terms of their start to the season, they have been very impressive, but I still just think if you look at their starting 11 and you look at that left centre mid spot in Granit Xhaka, I think it could do with an upgrade. Xhaka has been very impressive and he is adapting to his new role well, but I just think Tielemans is even better. Xhaka is perfectly good as a squad option, but Tielemans is better on the ball with his longer passing, with his press resistance, and also his creativity in the final third. I do think that the signing of Tielemans in the bigger games would really tell, and for me, he's a wonderful player. Now, recently, in the last year or so, he's been given this label of being lazy. That's not accurate at all. He's actually just slow. He's not the quickest player, so people assume he's lazy, because he's not covering a lot of ground. He's not lazy by any means. He's great on the ball, and could play a few different positions for this Arsenal team if they needed him to. Arsenal need squad depth in the midfield, so dropping Xhaka to the bench would improve that. That would, of course, be the depth improving, and Tielemans is a really wonderful footballer. So for me, this is a bit of a no-brainer. There's obviously that contract issue at Leicester, so I think Arsenal can get it done. Leicester need to sell him, if not they risk losing him really cheap in the next 12 months. So Arsenal should make this happen today. Moving on, Manchester City currently second in the Premier League, and let's be honest, it's really hard to find a weakness in their squad at the moment. However, the one weakness for me is in the depth at fullback, particularly at right back, where Kyle Walker is the only real option, with Cancelo these days very much being a left back. So for me, the option I would go for is Ridley Baku of Wolfsburg. Now, Ridley Baku isn't a player that people will know too much about, and he's probably a player that I will talk about more in the future, because he is really excellent at going forward. Now, for him to come into the City team, it would mean a slight change in system, because at the moment their fullbacks play quite narrow, but I see Baku as the potential current backup for Kyle Walker, and in the future, his future successor. He could take Kyle Walker's position in the team over the next few seasons. He's currently 24 years old, and people aren't really talking about him too much at the moment, so it would be smart of City to get him before his name becomes bigger around Europe, because he's a really good player, a lot of attacking threat, and we know that City want that. He's also good defensively in terms of pressures. He will help a team press high up the pitch, which again is something that City need, and he does have the recovery pace, which is what a Kyle Walker replacement needs. So in my opinion, Ridley Baku ticks a lot of boxes of why City should be signing him, so again, that's a signing I'd like to see. Moving on, currently in third is Spurs, and we've been talking about them all summer because they've done a lot of good business, and we were talking about their aspirations for this season. But for me, there is still one issue, and that is their lack of creativity in the midfield. I think the signing of Lovro Majer from Stade Rennais solves that issue. Now, we saw it even in the game last night against West Ham, we saw it against Chelsea, that if teams sit a little bit deeper, do Spurs have the quality in the midfield to break a team down? Suddenly in those games, Son and Kulusevski become slightly more ineffective. So if I was Conte, I would change to a 3-5-2 in those games, get an extra creative midfielder on the pitch. Currently Spurs can't do that because they don't have that creative midfielder. Here is your answer. One of the most underrated players in Europe. He's been absolutely brilliant for Stade Rennais. He can play as a 10, as an 8, even as a bit of an inverted winger a little bit in that Kulusevski role. He's very impressive, and I think he's a very affordable option for Spurs to get late in the window, and I do think he kind of takes them to that next level. In terms of problem solving, at the moment Spurs are very good on the counter-attack, but can they really break teams down? That is still the question mark. I think Lovro Majer really addresses that issue. He's a wonderful player, and whether he moves or not, make sure to keep an eye out for him this season. Next up, Brighton, currently 4th in the Premier League table, which I'm sure if you offered Brighton fans that at the start of the season, they would have been very happy. However, one thing they won't be quite as happy about is the lack of goal scorers still at the club. Now, this is an issue that has been the case at Brighton for a few years now, Graham Potter has them playing wonderful football, but they just lack that finishing touch, and that has still been the case in the Premier League this season. Now, Danny Welbeck has started the season very well, but you can't rely on him, because 1, he isn't a great goal scorer, and 2, he is rather injury prone. Burton Diaz, currently at Blackburn Rovers in the Championship, has proven himself as a goal scorer, regularly scoring over 20 goals in the Championship over the past few seasons. Now, chances are Brighton have something even smarter in mind, because their recruitment team is better than me. But I would certainly be considering this. If you can't think of an unknown striker, go for the proven option in Burton Diaz. They've kind of experimented with strikers in the past and it hasn't worked, so maybe go and get the proven article. I think that goal output would be huge for them and really boost them from a mid-table club to maybe one that could compete for the Conference League spots this season. I am just going to quickly interrupt because we do have another sponsor for today's video, and that is jerseyfifa.com. The website you need to head to right away to get yourself the latest and greatest football shirts, all at an extremely affordable price. The link will be in the description below, so head there right away to get yourself a great shirt, again at a great price. Now back to the video. Next up, Liverpool, who are in a bit of a mess at the moment. Now, things would be looking a lot worse if they didn't get that last gasp winner last night against Newcastle, but I still think their squad needs improvements, especially in midfield, and Jurgen Klopp keeps hinting at it. For me, Manu Kone at Borussia Mönchengladbach is the solution. He can play as a backup as the holding midfielder for Fabinho, and in the future I think he can take his spot because he really is that good. His ball winning ability is very impressive, but he also has plenty to offer on the ball as well. He can progress the ball, particularly by carrying the ball forward, and I also think he could do a job as like a backup role in the left centre mid spot when Thiago is out injured, as he is at the moment. I think he would massively improve the depth in this Liverpool team. And at the moment, that is one thing they're currently lacking. I would get him in. For me, it really is a no-brainer. I can't believe he hasn't moved there already. Like, I would have bet so much money on a move for Kone happening because he really is a good player. Watch this space because I still think it could happen. So, let's see. Moving on, Leeds United. And Leeds started the season very, very well. And I was saying in pre-season that I thought there was some real potential in this squad. However, there is still one issue, and that is the lack of consistently fit striker up front. Now, Brentford is a very good striker and I'm quite a big fan of him, but he's constantly injured. And then you've got Rodrigo, who had come in and was scoring the goals, but he now dislocated his shoulder the other night, so I'm not sure how long he'll be out for. Leeds United need someone to lead the line, press with energy, but also carry the ball forward, really rough up the centre-backs. What better man to do that than Brozier, who was of course on loan at Southampton last season. Chelsea don't seem to be giving him his chance, although he did come on against Southampton the other night, and I thought he offered something really good for Chelsea and it was a good little cameo. I think this would be a really good signing. He offers goals, but like I said, it's that ball carrying, it's that bullish nature, and also the work that he will do off the ball in a Jesse Marsch side is really important. I think this would be a really good signing, and I'd like it to happen. I would be very surprised if Brozier doesn't move before the deadline, because he needs to play regular football, he deserves to play regular football, he is the quality of a Premier League footballer, so he shouldn't be sitting on the bench every week, so I would like to see him almost anywhere really to get some football, but I think Leeds would be a good option. Next up, Fulham, who are much higher in the table than what we'd probably expect, and this move is a bit of a long shot. But for me, this Fulham team is really nice. They're nice and compact. They defend in a 4-4-2 with Andreas Pereira alongside Mitrovic. Palhinha in midfield is really impressive. Still can't believe they got him. But for me, the question marks are out wide. So the two options are to either strengthen the fullbacks or the wingers. And I just think that the way that Fulham are going to play in transition against the bigger teams, maybe occasionally going along to Mitrovic for flick-ons, they need a runner. So I wonder, could they get Anthony Elanga on loan from Manchester United this season? I'm not too sure Fulham will be too active in the transfer market today. They have recruited quite well already, but perhaps a loan move could be a way to save some money, but also improve their starting 11. Like I said, Elanga, in terms of Manchester United, he doesn't have the quality on the ball to break down the deep blocks that United often face. Fulham don't really have that issue because teams attack them. So Elanga's pace and dribbling in the transition could be really deadly, and I would like to see this loan move happen, both for his development and for the improvement of the Fulham team. Another player who's kind of been linked with United this summer is Cody Gakpo. Now again, this is a player that I've said United should sign, so Southampton definitely shouldn't think twice about it. Now the latest news is that PSV are kind of blocking a move, but if I were Southampton I would do everything to make this move happen. In the past 7 days we've seen that their squad has a lot of potential. There's quality at centre back, at full back when Livramento returns. I like the midfield, I think Che Adams is good up front. The question is the width, the attacking width, the wingers. They're not really good enough. Cody Gakpo offers something different and he offers goal output, and that is something that Southampton struggle with massively. They kind of do well until the final third, but then they don't have goals or creativity. Gakpo addresses both of those issues,
And let's just put it simply, if I'm saying he's good enough for Manchester United, then Southampton should do everything to try and get him, especially at about £30 million, because even if it doesn't work out too great, you will make a profit on him in a couple of years' time. He's a really good talent. Next up, Chelsea, and the club that have spent, I don't know how much, on a lot of centre-backs, but the issue they need to address now is the forward areas, because Kai Havertz for me isn't good enough as a striker. Now, I am a Havertz fan, I have been since his Bayer Leverkusen days, but it just isn't working for him. He's not good enough as a striker, and he's not good enough at quick interlinking play. When we see Raheem Sterling getting the ball, there's no options for him. Someone who addresses that issue is Memphis of Barcelona, and we know that this deal can happen for cheap. Barcelona want him gone so they can keep registering their new players. This is such an obvious signing. Chelsea are apparently signing Aubameyang from Barcelona. For me, that is the wrong profile of forward. They don't necessarily need a pure goal scorer. They need someone who's going to link and create and almost do the role of a deep lying forward, but also offer runs in behind. Memphis is the solution to their problems, and I can't believe this move isn't happening. If you can give me a reason as to why this move hasn't happened yet, please let me know, because I can't get my head around it. It would be a very, very good signing. Moving on, next up is Brentford, who this season are looking to really solidify themselves as a Premier League club. They've brought in some quality in Damsgaard to replace the leaving Christian Eriksen, but I think now they need some muscle, some drive, that box-to-box nature in midfield. And for me, the best solution for that is Sander Berge, currently in the Championship. For me, he is a Premier League player, and he would have been a Premier League player a few seasons ago if it weren't for his injury problems. Now, some of those injury issues are still there, so it does make it a bit of a risk, but for me, I think it is a risk that is worth taking. I think Brentford might just be safe this season. I can't remember where I had them in my predictions, but I think they might just make themselves safe with Ivan Toney up front. Adding some real drive and also quality in midfield in Sander Berge would go a long way to addressing that issue. I think he's a very, very good player, and he is too good for the Championship. When you watch him play, he is a level above most of the players around him. So I think it's about time he got that move, and Brentford could be the club to offer him that. We know they like to recruit from the Championship, so it kind of makes perfect sense, particularly now on deadline day. Another team who I feel may not be finished in the market are Newcastle United. We of course know they have so much money to spend, but they're actually doing it really smartly. And I would like to see them continue doing that by signing Edson Alvarez of Ajax. Now, if you look at the Newcastle midfield, you've got the box-to-box nature of Joel Linton, the creativity and the progressive nature of Bruno Guimaraes. They need a holding midfielder to just control the play, keep the passing simple and just let the others flourish. And I think Edson Alvarez of Ajax is the perfect solution. Now, it might be a bit of a hard transfer because Ajax aren't keen to sell because they've lost so many players already this year, but Newcastle can offer that extra bit of money, and money does talk, especially to these Dutch clubs. I think it would be a really, really good move, and just kind of holding position in front of the defence, winning the ball back for his side, would allow Trippier to get further forward down the right, but importantly, it frees up Bruno Guimaraes. We've seen him playing as the 6 in recent weeks, and he's done a very, very good job there, but it isn't his best position. His best role is as an 8, where he can progress the ball. So Edson Alvarez coming in and operating as the deepest player would allow Guimaraes to do that. Next up, Manchester United. I know a lot of people watching this video will be Manchester United fans, and for me it is still Frankie Dion. I can't express enough how important I think this signing would be. There's a reason Erik ten Hag has wanted him all summer, has prioritised him all summer long, and it's his ability on the ball in the first and second phase, his ability to get out of the press, progress the ball for Manchester United, but also from there in the second and third phase to then offer some real quality on the ball and creativity as well. Will this signing happen? I'm not sure. It feels like an ambitious one, but I am a Manchester United fan, and this is the signing that needs to happen. It is a failure if they don't bring him in, especially when you chase a player for like 4 months. You do have to get the player in. You can't chase him for that long and not get him. Will it happen? I'm not sure. He is in England at the moment, supposedly for Donny van de Beek's wedding. I think you have to get him. Him alongside Casemiro would be incredible. I'm not sure it will happen, but let's just wait and see. Next up, Crystal Palace, and a player that has been linked to a few different clubs all summer long, and that is Conor Gallagher of Chelsea, but he of course spent last season on loan at Palace. Now, Palace haven't started the season quite as well as what they would have liked, however they're still a very solid team. I just think they need that extra energy and quality and creativity in the middle third. They haven't really replaced it since Gallagher left, so why not just bring him back in? Chelsea clearly don't really rate him. He played the other day in a double pivot, not his best position by any means. I think to get the best of Conor Gallagher, he needs to be in a midfield 3. That is what Crystal Palace play. You could have the energy of Gallagher, the creativity of Eze, and then the ball winning of Doucouré at the heart of the midfield. And then that looks like a very, very well balanced midfield. Jeffrey Schlupp's a decent player. Conor Gallagher, though, is just a different level. offers that energy, offers that output in the final third, and he was of course one of Palace's best players last season, so why wouldn't you just bring him back in? I think Palace should try and make it happen today. Next up, West Ham, and West Ham are a bit of a weird side to really pick a player because they've done some really good business already in Gianluca Scamacca and Lucas Paqueta, two signings who I think could easily play in a top 4 club. They're wonderful, wonderful players. But why not continue in that vein of signing top quality players and bring in Neuhaus from Borussia Mönchengladbach? Now Neuhaus is a very, very good progressive midfielder and also has a lot of press resistance, so I was thinking he could come in and replace Souček. Now don't get me wrong, Souček has been a good servant for West Ham, but I just think moving forward West Ham need greater ability to break down the deeper teams. In the big games against Spurs last night, for example, they are really good defensively and then in the transition. But against the smaller teams, I think they need a bit more quality on the ball. Souček doesn't really offer that. Florian Neuhaus does. I think he's a very, very good player. Now, he has plateaued in terms of development over the past 2 seasons or so, but if David Moyes can unlock him, I think he has the potential to be a really impressive player. And alongside Declan Rice, he kind of has that defensive work done for him. Neuhaus will help that as well, but then on the ball he offers real quality. And also in the games against the bigger teams, he does have the ability to play direct with long passes and set the counter-attack off. I think it'd be a really smart signing. It's not one that I've seen linked at all, this is just my opinion of who I would sign if I was West Ham. Next up, Nottingham Forest, and I'm going to suggest who they should sign as their 100th signing this summer. And this one's going to be a loan because they have signed so many players, it's difficult to keep bringing players in and really say where the weaknesses are, but personally I think it is still at centre-back. But they have signed Niakate, but he's out for a few months, so maybe go for a short-term solution. Trevor Chalobah from Chelsea on loan could be a good move. Like I said, Nottingham Forest probably don't need to spend any more money, they've spent enough, but perhaps as a short-term fix, maybe even just till January, Chalobah could come in on loan. He done well for Chelsea last season, in a back 3 as well, and I think he would just shore up that Nottingham Forest defence on the right-hand side of the defence, and also bring a quality on the ball that they're lacking as well. I think McKenna is good on the left side of the defence, but the likes of Worrell, Steve Cook don't convince entirely, so I think Chalobah would be a good option to play on the right-hand side, with Kouyaté in the middle, and then McKenna on the left side of the back 3. I then think you've got yourself a very decent defence. Will it happen? Let's wait and see. We are now heading closer and closer to the relegation zone and talking about Bournemouth. I think everyone's favourites to go down. They of course have recently sacked Scott Parker, which does make any last minute business quite difficult. So I think they might be best off utilising the loan market. And I said it earlier in the summer and I will say it again, their fullbacks are not good enough for the Premier League. There is a good fullback available on loan, Brandon Williams. Premier League experience, real tenacity, but he's good on the ball as well. But he will put in a defensive shift, which is what Bournemouth are going to need this season. He done well for Norwich last season in a struggling side. He's used to that relegation battle. Granted, didn't go too well last time, but he has got that experience. He's Premier League experience. He has got a lot of quality. I think it'd be a really good move for Bournemouth to do late on in the window on loan for whoever the new manager may be. Next up, Everton, and this isn't my recommendation. This is what I think will happen. James Garner to Everton. And again, as a United fan, for about £10 million, I can't believe this move is going to happen, because James Garner is a wonderfully gifted footballer. And alongside Onana and perhaps Iwobi in that Everton midfield, I think he could really kick on. Now, I'd love to see him play the derby against Liverpool at the weekend, because he does bring that quality off the ball defensively that Everton will need in that game. He's wonderful at winning the ball back, covering spaces, reading the play, interceptions, but then on the ball his progressive ability is very impressive. And perhaps with Onana sitting a little bit deeper, Garner could have the licence to play to one side rather than at the heart of the midfield, play to one side and progress the ball from there, which I think does suit him a little bit more. He has that ability to get forward. He does have goals to his game as well, as we saw for Forest last season. If Everton get this done today, this is really, really good business. This could be a wonderful signing, and again, even if it doesn't turn out too great, I can guarantee you will make a profit on him in a couple of seasons' time. Very good signing. Next up, Wolves, and I've been quite impressed with some of the business they've done this season, but I do just worry at centre-back, do they have the depth? I'm not sure they do, and it is why I would bring in Abdou Diallo from PSG. Now in Kilman and Collins, you've got 2 really good young centre-backs, but beyond that, there really isn't much depth at all. Connor Cody has of course left the club on loan, and I think it leaves them really short. One injury, and I think they could be struggling. Abdou Diallo, we know, is probably available from PSG, he never plays for them. Left-footed, he is good on the ball, which we know is something that Bruno Lage wants. And this one's more about competition. I think the Wolves 11 is quite good. This is more about squad depth, competition to see them through the season. It's not a rumour I've particularly seen. He has been linked to a few different clubs, including Inter, which perhaps shows his quality actually. I think it could be a really good signing. Left-footed, good on the ball, experienced. I think it'd be a good signing as a good squad option. So the penultimate team and Aston Villa, and I am going to go for an experienced centre-back in Craig Dawson. Now, it's probably not the most exciting signing for Aston Villa fans, but I think losing Diego Carlos is a big issue. But clearly he is the long-term solution to the centre-back issue. So it's not worth spending a lot of money on an established centre-back, because eventually Carlos will come back in. You almost need a bit of a short-term replacement. And Craig Dawson sort of offers that. He's got 1 year left on his contract at West Ham, so you can probably get him for about £6 million. He's got plenty of experience, he's played in the back four before, he knows the league, and is defensively pretty impressive. He also offers a threat from set pieces. I think sort of as a, maybe even just a 1 year contract with the option to extend, I think it would be a good signing to just address that issue that Diego Carlos is unavailable, and you don't really have the money to replace him. So that experience on a cheap budget, I think is a good option. Next up, bottom of the table, Leicester City, whose transfer business has been really poor this season. And typically I would have said they needed a right winger. But Wesley Fofana has left the club and gone to Chelsea. Leicester now desperately need a centre-back because you can't rely on Johnny Evans' fitness, Amati isn't really a centre-back, and Soyuncu leaves a lot to be desired. Todibo from Nice is a very promising, physical, athletic young centre-back, and has a lot of similar traits to Fofana, and for that reason I think it kind of makes sense as a natural replacement to take that role. In terms of price, I'll be honest, I have no idea how much this would cost, but Leicester have barely spent a penny this summer, so I'm sure they have some money to put into this. They have to, because Fofana for 85 million, you have to replace that. We saw last season they struggled defensively when Fofana was missing. They now face the prospect of another season of that. Fofana is gone. They need a centre-back really badly. I'm worried if I'm a Leicester fan. Todibo offers a solution. Again, if you can get him cheap, he will develop and improve as a player, so you can make a profit in a few years' time, which we know is something that Leicester consider when they're signing players. I think it would be a good signing. Is he the best centre-back in the world? No, but he's young, tenacious, athletic, good in the air, good on the ball, powerful. I think a lot of things that Leicester City desperately need. So there we have it. Those are the 20 signings I would like to see on transfer deadline day. One for each team in the Premier League. So now I'd just like to hear your thoughts basically. Who was I right on? Who was I miles off on? And who would you like your club to sign today? And which club is going to do absolutely nothing and really be boring? And which club is going to do a Harry Redknapp and bring 3 or 4 players in? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.